how did a show that started out like this
You can't have any fun in bed.
Oh, son, when you're older, you'll know better. Oh, baby.
end up like this?
Oh, honey.
That's right, we're going to be taking a look through the show's 35-year journey from the golden age right up to its downfall. So grab a thing of popcorn and relax. So there are many factors that contributed to the brilliance of The Simpsons during the early seasons, with much of the credit going to the all-star comedy writing team. This includes beloved comedian Conan O'Brien, who wrote many iconic episodes.
Krusty wants out!
I'm sure that's reassuring to hear. One such iconic episode is Marge versus the Monorail, which starts with Mr. Burns and Smithers sneaking into the plant to take away a barrel of toxic waste so it can be disposed of.
You think it's full, sir?
That's ridiculous. The last tree held 9 drums.
Yeah, because that's not suspicious at all. What's next? Radioactive birds that drop little nukes every time they poop? Actually, that sounds pretty cool. Unfortunately for Burns, his crime gets discovered and he's fined $3 million. Unfazed though, he pays the fine with the cash in his huge pocket. Now that's a different kind of rich. With Springfield receiving a big cash injection, the Simpsons family starts thinking of hypothetical ways to spend the money, including Bart creating a giant robot army.
Bart, we'll do anything you want. Just call off your giant mechanical ants.
Well, let's hope this isn't one of those Simpsons predictions that come true. I could see Elon Musk creating the Tesla ant. Marge, on the other hand, thinks that the money should be put into something the town can be proud of, and during a meeting at the town hall, she suggests Springfield fix up Main Street. Everyone's happy with the suggestion, but that's when Lyle Landley, a salesman who looks like he should have been in a barbershop quartet, proposes this.
The ring came off my pudding can.
Take my penknife, my good man. Throw up your hands and raise your voice. What's it called? Once again.
I wonder why salesmen don't sing their pitches more often. Like, I'd probably be more open to changing my service provider if they did a little song and dance every time. Marge is completely against the monorail, and so is Lisa, who challenges Lyle on the reason why they would need a monorail in a relatively small town. But the smooth talker tells Lisa that she's the only person who would get the answer and lets the issue go. Well, I've got the answer. Landley wants all the money. Of course, there's no point in having a monorail without a conductor, so Homer goes through the training and manages to get the job.
And rail means rail. And that concludes our intensive 3-week course.
Hey, wait, man. Who gets to be conductor?
Oh, right, that. Well, I've been monitoring your progress closely. But this gentleman here clearly stands out above the rest.
Who, me?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure he got the job on merit. I mean, who wouldn't want a lazy, borderline alcoholic in charge of a train that can go 180 miles an hour? Homer is keen to show his family around the train, including a disc tray he thinks is a drinks holder and a family of possums living in the fire extinguisher cupboard. Well, at least I'll always have company. Marge goes to talk to Mr. Landley and discovers his notebook with images of him stealing the money and the monorail on fire. Concerned, she investigates another town that Lyle sold the monorail to, and things are not pretty.
Excuse me, miss. You asked about the monorail?
Who are you?
My name is Sebastian Cobb. Landley hired me to build his monorail. Bad wiring, faulty brakes. As a celebrity on the maiden voyage was Gallagher.
Yeah, the project was a literal train wreck. Marge rushes back to Springfield to try and stop the launch of the monorail, but while everyone in town turns up for the occasion, Landley can't get away quick enough, packing the suitcases full of cash into a cab. Lisa's confused as to why he wouldn't stick around, but it soon becomes clear the second Homer starts the train. Something tells me this deal didn't come with a warranty. While Chief Wiggum and Mayor Quimby argue about who should take control of the situation, an engineer comes up with the idea of cutting off the power. But they find out that the train's solar powered. I bet Mr. Burns' idea to block out the sun wouldn't look so bad now. Homer thinks he's in luck when a random solar eclipse blocks out the sun, but it quickly moves away, causing the train to start up again. While that's super unlucky, it's not as unlucky as Landley, whose plane has a layover in a town he sold one of his dodgy monorails to.
Folks, this is your captain speaking. Our non-stop flight to Tahiti over in North Haverbrook.
North Haverbrook. Where have I heard that name before? Oh, no.
Now that's what I call karma. Meanwhile, the monorail is still out of control, and Bart and Homer are convinced their goose is cooked. But that's when Marge talks over the radio along with Sebastian Cobb, the creator of the monorail, who tells Homer he needs to find an anchor to slow the train down. While briefly considering using Bart, he settles on using rope and the M from the sign.
You called that an anchor?
Donuts.
That's right. Although he cut down the oldest tree in Springfield, wrecked Main Street even more, and even separated a couple of conjoined twins, the plan eventually works. I think Homer deserves to have the title of Mono Thingy Guy on his resume. Marge vs. the Monorail is definitely a classic episode from the golden era of The Simpsons. It had hilarious, witty gags, plenty of characters and cameos, and a catchy musical number. Admit it, you're gonna be singing the Monorail song all day now. I know I did. But not all the credit should be given to the writers, as others played a huge part in building the foundation that made The Simpsons a worldwide sensation. The show's producer, James L. Brooks, was another ingredient that made The Simpsons stand out. It was actually Brooks who pushed for more emotionally driven storylines, branching out from the typical satirical themed episodes.
Every time you're near.
Gotta get out of here.
Well, we know he's not crying about losing his hair yet. A great example of this was seen in The Way We Was, which starts with Homer cussing his kids out for sitting too close to the TV. Well, it seems he didn't have to warn them after all, as the set cuts out and the Simpsons are forced to do the unthinkable: have a conversation. Life can be so cruel sometimes. First, Lisa asks her mom the story about how her parents got engaged, but after having a flashback about being told she was pregnant by a young Dr. Hibbert rocking an afro, she decides to tell her kids another story.
Lisa, I'd rather tell you a different story. We're seniors in high school, but
Good redirection there, Marge. Could be hard explaining what a shotgun wedding is. Back in 1974, Homer heads to school with Barney, who was surprisingly sober. I guess he hadn't discovered Duff at that point. A bad habit they had developed, however, was smoking in the school bathroom, which lands them in detention. Meanwhile, Marge is fighting the good fight and holds a rally about equality for women, forcing her to stay behind after school too.
It's gotta be a girl nobody else wants to take to the prom.
excuse me, is this room 106?
Hey, who's that? I don't know.
So it turns out doing bad things can lead you to finding the love of your life. Although Big Tony serving 20 to life may not feel the same. Homer is infatuated by the blue-haired stranger and introduces himself, but Marge doesn't seem that interested. While eating a bucket of chicken with Abe, his old man realizes that Homer has barely eaten anything. Wow, things must be really bad. Homer tells Abe about his problem, who doesn't really give him the greatest of advice.
You haven't said poo all night, and usually I have to wrestle a bucket out of your greasy mitts. Dad, I'm in love. Oh, yeah. Oh, son, don't overreach. Go for the dented card, the dead-end job, the less attractive girl.
What? You mean Homer wasn't always a huge slacker? Homer goes to see the guidance counselor for advice, and as well as telling him about the new nuclear power plant being opened by Mr. Burns, the counselor tells him to find things in common with Marge. This leads to Homer signing up for the debate team, but after showing his butt to the entire class, he decides the slow game just ain't gonna cut it.
God, no!
Well put. Well, what's the good word?
I'm sorry.
What?
Well, you seem like a nice enough guy, but I
Yeah?
really don't have the time.
Now, I'm no Casanova, but I don't think stealing your crush's sandwich bag is gonna help you score a date, just saying. Determined to get his girl, though, Homer asks Marge to tutor him in French, and unbelievably, he's actually learning. Sure, he tried to seduce her with make-out music and dimmed lighting to start, but we can look past that. Homer's scheme to get Marge to like him seems to work, as she agrees to go to prom with him, until he says this.
If honest and open is what you like, get a load of this. I'm not really in any French class. This was just a brilliant scheme to get to know you better. Ow.
You knew the City Forensics finals are tomorrow!
No, Marge, he really is stupid. If you get to know him better, you'll soon find out. Marge storms out of the house, but not before telling Homer that she actually just hates him. Now, anybody else would get the message that he no longer has a date for prom, but not Homer, who tells Barney the good news. Meanwhile, Artie Ziff, a fellow student on the debate team, asks Marge to go out to prom, to which she agrees. Man, standards in 1974 must have been much lower back then. With Homer not picking up on the subtle hints, he turns up at the Beauvoir residence anyway.
Homer!
Oh, this is just awkward. Marge tells him that she's got another date, which is when Artie turns up to rub Homer's nose in it further. Heartbroken, Homer gets back into the limo he hired, but instead of wasting the money he spent, he decides to go to the prom anyway. He probably wish he hadn't, though, as he has to spend the entire night watching Marge and Artie get cozy, and even crowned the king and queen of the class.
Jeff and Marge Bouvier.
No, isn't she great? Hail Queen, Marge! Woo! Woo! Long live the Queen!
Fellow classmates, instead of voting for some athletic hero or a pretty boy,
Well, at least he's humble. At first, Homer is happy for Marge, but after watching the two have a slow dance, he runs out in floods of tears. Marge, who clearly cares for Homer still, chases after him to see if he's okay. This is where Homer speaks from the heart and tells his crush this.
What?
Why are you doing this? Why can't you accept that I'm here with someone else?
Because I'm sure we were meant to be together. Usually when I have a thought, there's a lot of other thoughts in there. Something says yes, something says no.
Surely that would tug on Marge's heartstrings, right? Nope. She tells him he's wrong and that she's with Artie now. Homer tells the limo driver to take him to the local makeout spot, which I think would be the worst possible place to hang out considering that's where Artie and Marge are. In fact, the two are in the back seat of his car, and Artie is getting a little too handsy, but Marge is not into it.
I don't know. I mean, it was a beautiful evening. Come on, let's not ruin
just
it.
this.
Oh, Artie, please.
Come on, kiss me.
Oh, Artie.
Please.
No, really, I mean it. Now stop it.
2 slaps in 1 episode. Is any cheek safe in 1974? On the way home, Marge spots Homer walking home after he couldn't afford any more time at the limo, and after Artie drops her off at home, she overhears her parents running Homer down. This gets Marge thinking about who she really wants.
Homer?
Marge?
Yeah, you want to ride?
Sure.
You know, Homer, why so glum?
I got a problem. Once you stop this car, I'm gonna hug you and kiss you.
Now that's smooth. Yeah, unlike his hair, Marge decides to stick with Homer, and fans get to see a window into how those crazy kids got together. While more heartfelt episodes seemed risky in the early days, they turned out to resonate with fans while still keeping the comedic tone intact. While many episodes of The Simpsons focus on the main family members, an early decision to develop background characters became a winning formula that broke away from the traditional sitcom setup. For example, another writer credited with the success of the show is David M. Stern, who enjoyed storylines revolving around Marge and her sisters, Patty and Selma, who were very two-dimensional before Stern worked his magic.
Just my sister-in-law.
I'll get right to the point. I'm getting older, fatter, and uglier.
Yeah, talk about an impossible task. This resulted in some of the best episodes surrounding the often overlooked Beauvoir sisters, like in Principal Charming, when we get to see more than just chain smoking and an unhealthy hatred for Homer. This episode starts with Homer getting a call from Barney telling him about an all-you-can-eat ribs place. Naturally, Homer is excited about the prospect of turning himself into a human pork sausage and tells Marge that they're going out Saturday night. Marge calls Selma and asks if she and Patty will look after the kids, to which Selma tells her that they have to go to a wedding first. At the wedding, Selma watches her coworker Stanley get married, making her think about how she missed out on marrying him because of her sister.
That I met you. Hello? Selma?
Hello, Stanley.
Is this seat taken?
Yes, it is. Hey.
Dodged a bullet. That dude is treating his love life like a game of musical chairs. When looking after the Simpson kids, Lisa asks Selma if she thinks that she'll ever get married, to which she tells her niece she don't know. This only makes Selma more determined to find a husband, and when Marge gets home, she begs her sister for help.
Self. No, Barney, that's just my sister-in-law.
I'll get right to the point. I'm getting older, fatter, and uglier. Please, Marge, help me find a man before it's too late.
I'm sure there's lots of guys who will give her a chance. Barney, the comic book guy, maybe even Mr. Burns. Determined to help her sister, Marge pulls a favor Homer owes her and asks him to find Selma a husband. The next day at the power plant, Homer embarks on the impossible mission to find the guy who will take Selma out, but struggles to find anyone with the high expectations Marge has given him.
You will find her a man.
All right.
And not just any man.
Okay.
He should be honest and caring and well off and handsome.
Hey!
I think you should probably add partially sighted and no sense of smell to those demands. At least give the poor guy a chance. Meanwhile, Bart is causing trouble at school using chemicals to burn a word into the grass. But surely he would take countermeasures to stop being identified as the vandal, right?
Bart, I'm flabbergasted. Surely you knew as you were writing your own name in 40-foot-high letters on the field that you would be caught.
Dude, he should have spelled Millhouse. It could have been the perfect crime. Principal Skinner makes Homer come into the school to talk about Bart, but that's when Homer comes up with an idea to set Selma up with Skinner. He invites him over to the house for dinner along with the desperate Beauvoir sister, and at first, the plan seems to work, but there's one slight problem.
Set me up with some unmarried relation, would it? Because I can assure you that I... Foolish heart.
Here we go. Boy meets beast. Principal Skinner,
It's an easy mistake to make. It's hard to tell their stone faces and gravelly voices apart. Skinner is obsessed with Patty, who doesn't seem very keen, but she agrees to go on a date with him anyway. But while things don't seem to be working out for Selma, you can't say the same for Bart, who's getting away with damaging the grass so the principal wants to make a good impression on his aunt.
Do you feel that you've learned your lesson?
Have I ever? Just the thought of doing anything bad again just makes my stomach turn.
Well, then, you're free to go.
Not something I would shout too loud at school. After using some cream to remove the hair growing on her lip, Patty is ready for her date with Skinner, and the two go to Springfield's revolving restaurant for some food. At first, Patty isn't having a great time, but after her date runs the waiter down for being a former student who never achieved anything, Patty begins to enjoy his company.
Well, okay.
Hello, Dolly. Oh, that was the worst movie I've ever seen.
I think these two are actually well suited. They're both miserable. With the date going so well, Seymour moves in for a kiss but gets launched across the corridor like an electrician who forgot to turn the power off before connecting a wire. Unbelievably, Patty still agrees to go on another date with him. Well, she invites him to go food shopping with her, but hey, we count those. The two begin to go on more dates and Patty starts letting her guard down more and more.
One kiss. But I don't want you bragging to your friends about how you scored.
Poor Selma. If she just brought the snacks out, it could have been her hairy lip being magnified by the people. With Seymour walking on cloud 9, he lets Bart get away with just everything at this point, including throwing eggs at him. It seems like love has really got to his head as he tells Bart his plan to propose to his aunt. Yikes, I've heard the saying, treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen, but this is just ridiculous. Meanwhile, Homer's still got the task of finding someone for Selma, and it seems like he's totally given up looking for someone who ticks all the boxes.
You're making happy hour bitterly ironic.
Mo, I gotta find a date for my big, fat, snotty sister-in-law, Selma.
Good rule of thumb is 2-year salary, sir. Try this.
I can't afford that. I'm an educator.
And talk about kicking someone when they're down. Things only get worse for her when she discovers that Seymour is going to propose to Patty. Desperate to not be left behind, she agrees to go on a date with Barney. Oh, wow. There's settling, and then there's just giving up. But it turns out that she didn't have to go on the date at all, as Patty turns down the engagement so her sister isn't left alone.
Patty, where's Skinner? We decided we loved each other enough never to see each other again. I hope I can find a man like that.
Well, I can't say she isn't loyal. And on the plus side, it means they can grow their mustaches as long as they want. Using comedian writers who have a gift for clever and witty gags gave The Simpsons an edge, especially by incorporating satirical skits and tongue-in-cheek jokes to poke fun at society and mainstream media. For example, in Bart Gets Famous, when the show mocked how people can get famous for literally nothing.
This rickety ladder in front of this door is the perfect place for this priceless vase.
Another Simpsons prediction has come true, only instead of Bart, it's the Hawk Tuah girl. The episode starts with the Simpson family sitting down for breakfast and Bart breaking the fourth wall by whistling the theme tune to the show.
Oh, it just gets worse and worse.
Well, now that's trippy. Does this mean the Simpsons watch their own show? Nah, I'm not going on that rabbit hole again. The reason why Bart is in a great mood is because he's going on a mystery field trip. The excitement is short-lived and the bus turns up at the box factory.
The story of how two brothers and 5 other men this loan into a thriving paper goods concern.
Count yourself lucky, Bart. Amazon packers have to go through this on a daily basis. While being bored senseless hearing all about the history of boxes, the owner of the company lets slip that the Krusty the Clown show is filmed across the road, giving Bart an idea. When everyone else is preoccupied checking out an office so plain it makes the boxes look interesting, Bart slips out of the factory and into the studio. While taking his own personalized tour, he steals a Danish pastry from Kent Brockman so he can give it to Krusty. After all, they go way back.
He didn't touch it, did he?
No.
Good job, kid. What's your name?
I'm Bart Simpson. I saved you from jail.
Oh,
I reunited you with your estranged father.
So Bart got Sideshow Bob hunting him down for nothing, and this is why you never meet your heroes. Although Krusty doesn't remember everything he's done for him, he hires Bart as his new assistant. He's tasked with cleaning Krusty's giant clown hankies, also known as a towel, as well as cleaning his toilet. Well, They do say show business is glamorous. After being sleep deprived and having to take Krusty's calls all day, Bart realizes that the job sucks and decides to quit. But that's when his boss asks him to be involved in a sketch.
I didn't do it.
It might seem like a cheap laugh, but those sets are expensive. Think about how much cardboard was ruined. At least Bart has connections to the box factory. Krusty tells Bart that he will never work on stage again and that he hasn't got the stuff to make it big in the comedy world. But after a crowd of fans turns up to see Bart, the clown has a change of heart. I'm sure money has nothing to do with that.
Why, this rickety ladder in front of this door, big place for this priceless Ming vase.
Not to be a killjoy or anything, but if it was that funny, courtrooms across the country would be more like comedy clubs. For the residents of Springfield, however, the catchphrase gets them out of all kinds of sticky situations. Boot gets out of a robbery by saying, "I didn't do it," after hitting the alarm, and Mayor Quimby cuts the mood after his wife catches him in bed with another woman. Bart rises to fame with his catchphrase, even releasing a single.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
I'll say it, it's still better than most of the music in the charts right now. While it seemed like fun at first, all the attention Bart receives from his newfound fame starts to grate on him. Krusty is charging money for meet and greets, and all his class wants to do is hear him say the catchphrase. Determined to change the public opinion that he's just a one-hit wonder, Bart goes on the Conan O'Brien show. Yes, the same Conan who wrote Marge vs. Monorail.
You know, Conan, I have a lot to say. I'm not just a one-line wonder. Did you know that a section of rainforest the size of Kansas is burned every single...
Just do the line.
Wait, is Bart so desperate to change his reputation that he's now becoming Lisa? Oh, that's rough. Bart feels like a performing monkey and is worried that he'll be saying, "I didn't do it" for the next 30 years. He refuses to go on the Krusty show, but after Marge tells him that he makes people happy, he changes his mind. But the problem is, like comedy, people also change their minds.
The boy that says the words you've been longing to hear, like the salivating dogs that you are, Bart Simpson!
I didn't do it.
Oh, tough crowd. Bart lost his comedy edge faster than the Big Bang Theory. Krusty explains that his career is over and that show business is a fickle industry. Preaching to the choir. Thankfully, his family is there to help him feel better while poking fun at their own show.
You'll always have them to remind you of the time when you were the whole world's special little guy.
And now you can go back to just being you instead of a one-dimensional character with a silly catchphrase.
Ay, caramba!
Well, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you really laugh at, right? Bart accidentally becoming famous after coining the catchphrase, "I didn't do it," is so ironic right now, considering the success of the Hawk Tuah Girl. Back in the golden era of The Simpsons, the whole team didn't shy away from poking fun at celebrities, but as the years went on, they began to pander to them instead. Yeah, it seems like they took their anti-conformance principles, tossed them on the floor, and spit on that thing. Ah, frick, now I'm doing it! At the same time, the show's success inspired others to jump into the rebellious TV arena, like South Park and King of the Hill, which eventually became staples of mainstream entertainment. This meant that the pressure to remain relevant while trying to adapt to the changing culture became even more difficult than it already was. Season 8 of The Simpsons saw a major shift for the show as they began to focus on absurd storylines. Marge gets tangled up with the Yakuza, Homer becomes a heavyweight boxer, and then there was this.
On his 18th birthday, he was blown up in a silo explosion.
But paradoxically, it also included one of the most beloved episodes of the entire show, marking the beginning of its downfall. In Homer's Enemy, The Simpsons learn all about an inspirational guy named Frank Grimes during a segment on the Kent Brockman Show. Frank is being praised because of how he worked his way up from nothing, even surviving a silo explosion, and taught himself all about nuclear physics and got a degree to boot. Naturally, Mr. Burns thinks he would make a great fit at the nuclear power plant. Let's face it, he has more credentials than Homer. First place certificates and hot dog eating contests don't really apply here. While Grimes tries to settle in, Homer begins to get on the new employee's nerves.
Hiya, Stretch. What's the good word?
My name is Grimes, Simpson. Frank Grimes. I took the trouble to learn your name. The least you can do is learn mine.
Okay, Grimy.
If that isn't bad enough, Homer also chews on all of his pencils, disturbs him while he tries to work, stuffs his face like it's his last meal every time, and shows absolutely no understanding of his job. For example, when Homer's control panel starts flashing with a warning, he pours a bucket of water over it to stop it, to the horror of the new stick-in-the-mud Frank Grimes. The final straw is when this happens.
It boggles the mind. It's best not to think about it.
Who did this to my wall? One more chance at a reduced salary. So straighten up and fly right.
But sir, if I could...
Homer shouldn't get on the wrong side of a dude who knows about nuclear power. One wrong move and he could turn him into a human glow stick. Grimes tells Homer that he doesn't like him, that they are now enemies. Homer takes it to heart and follows Moe's advice about inviting him over for dinner to try and straighten things out. But when the guest arrives, Homer's gesture has the complete opposite effect.
Hard every day of my life. And what do I have to show for it? And this haircut. And what do you have to show for your lifetime of sloth? No!
What are you saying?
I'm saying you're what's wrong with America, Simpson. You coast through life. You do as little as possible.
Well, get this guy a duff, put a game on the TV, and give him a crash course and fake it till you make it. Jealous of everything Homer has achieved, Grimes storms out of the house. The next day, Marge suggests that Homer should act a little more professionally to try to get the new employee to respect him. But even after eating his donut with a fork, Grimes still hates him. What more can he do? Drink his lunchtime duff out of a glass? Grimes tries to turn Lenny and Carl against Homer, pointing out that accidents have risen every year since he became safety inspector, but his pals refuse to listen. Determined to prove to everyone that Homer is an idiot, he comes up with this devious plan.
Design your own power plant, eh?
Only Homer can fall for this. He didn't even replace the pictures. Keen to impress everyone with the new design for the power plant, Homer rushes home to start on his design, but not before putting a photograph of Lenny in charge of the reactor. Safety first, guys. Grimes is convinced that his little trick will reveal to everyone that Homer has the brain of a toddler and will no doubt be ridiculed.
You lose. Get off my property. Let's have the next child.
Look at us miss the contest.
Could you explain your model, young man?
What's to explain? He's an idiot.
Well, basically, I just copied the plant we have now. Then I added some fins to lower wind resistance.
Well done, Homer. And the macaroni glued around the edges really brings out the red in the racing stripe. Homer's enemy cannot believe what he's hearing. And after hearing the rest of the employees cheer for the competition winner, Grimes begins to have a full-blown mental breakdown. He runs around with his crack showing, stuffs donuts in his mouth like a pig with a case of the munchies, and tells Mr. Burns that he's the worst employee in the world. But unfortunately, there's one thing Homer has that Grimes can never copy. Plot armor.
Time to go home to my mansion and eat my lobster. What's this? Extremely high voltage. Well, I don't need safety gloves because I'm Homer Simpson.
What a way to go, pretending to be Homer Simpson. To add insult to injury, at Frank Grimes' funeral, Homer not only tells Reverend Lovejoy that he liked being called grimy, which he hated, by the way, but also falls asleep during the service. The final insult is when Homer shouts this out in his sleep.
Looking down.
Change the channel, Marge.
Poor Grimes. Homer not only indirectly causes him to die, but he makes a laughing stock of his funeral. After season 8, the show continued to immerse itself into more absurd storylines, moving away from the more clever jokes and parodies of real-life culture the fans had grown to love over the decade. And yeah, the characters that were so carefully developed in the early seasons seemed like fair game if it meant there was a plot to be squeezed out of them. Take Principal and the Pauper, where Principal Skinner, a strict disciplinarian who was shaped by his tyrannical mother, was completely dismantled in 22 minutes.
Prouder to be Seymour Skinner.
You're not Seymour Skinner. Skinner? Skinner? I'm Skinner.
Looks like someone has a little bit of explaining to do. The episode starts off with Skinner checking the school out before the kids arrive, taking pride in his work. The dude measures the distance between the bin and the wall. I think he needs to get a hobby. Turns out that Seymour's hard work has not gone unnoticed, though, and Superintendent Chambers is planning something special for his 20th anniversary at the school.
Announcement. In honor of Seymour's 20th year as principal, we've decided to hold a surprise tribute Friday night.
It's my 20th year, too.
Poor Willie. I'm sure he can round up a few possums and have his own party in the basement or something. Lisa volunteers to write a report about Skinner and his life while Bart starts making food for the party. Well, he starts making some dog food balls, but it's the thought that counts. At the celebration, everyone in Springfield gathers at the school, and Lisa talks about how Seymour was a sergeant in Vietnam and risked his life behind enemy lines on many occasions. He's a regular war hero, right? Well, hold that thought. After being presented with his cake and making a speech about being proud to be Principal Skinner, an uninvited guest crashes the party.
Skinner? Skinner? I'm Skinner.
Seymour?
Are you sure you really want to claim her as your mother? Like, you already dodged that bullet once. With the real Skinner telling everyone the truth, the Seymour we know and love admits that he is an imposter. He's really another member of the platoon who served alongside Skinner. The sergeant was believed to have died in battle, but was actually held captive in a POW camp, forced to make trainers right until his recent release. This just leaves one question: who has been acting as the principal this entire time?
What's your story, Seymour? If that is your real name.
Well, obviously it isn't. I'm an orphan from Capital City.
Yeah, Armin was just a thug who would steal ladies' handbags. After running over a judge, he was sent to Nam, where he met Skinner. The sergeant tells Armin Tamzarian about his dream to go back to Springfield and become the principal of the school. They become best friends, but after a bomb dropped on him, Armin took his pocket watch and went to his mother to break the tragic news. But things did not go according to plan.
Hello, I'm, What I did was wrong, but I'd do it again. Yes, Mother, it's me.
You look different somehow.
And this is why getting your eyes checked is important. It took me ages to realize the stray cat I took in was actually a raccoon. Armin believes that deep down Mrs. Skinner knew he wasn't her son, but kept him around as a coping mechanism for losing her boy. Man, that's really sad. Armin explains that he dedicated his life to fulfilling his friend's dream. Skinner thanks Armin for taking care of his mother all this time, but Mrs. Skinner is having none of it.
A dagger through my heart.
Oh, here, Mother, let me help you.
Get your hands off me.
Please, Mom.
You too, stranger.
I'm your son.
Is this a Simpsons episode we're watching or the Jerry Springer show? Mrs. Skinner sticks to her guns and Armin tries to move on with his life, but the people of Springfield consider him a big old fraud. Unable to carry on as the principal, Armin quits his job and the real Skinner takes over the school. All that's left now is to leave town and start anew, but Miss Krabappel begs him to stay.
I know we were planning to see a film tonight, but instead I'm leaving town forever.
No, please, I don't care what you've done. You're still a decent, honorable man.
Well, at least he didn't marry Edna. The real Skinner would have been in for quite the shock there. Armin heads to his lockup to pick up his old leather jacket and motorbike, and just like that, he rides off into the night. While the rest of Springfield welcomes the new Skinner with open arms, Mrs. Skinner is starting to realize that her relationship with the imposter was far better than with her actual son.
You come straight home after school. Tonight is silhouette night. Sit there.
I really just came home to change into a turtleneck.
Seymour! Sit!
Keep acting like that and you'll be begging to go back to the prisoner camp. The next day at the grocery store, Marge, Edna, and Mrs. Skinner run into each other and talk about how they preferred Armin despite him being a weenie. Their words, not mine. The group decides to track him down to talk him into coming back. Unfortunately, Armin has made up his mind and tells them that he's staying in the city. But that's when Mrs. Skinner says this.
Language like that?
Well, you didn't bring me up at all.
The hell I didn't. I've been taking care of you for 26 years. I'm the only mother you've ever known.
But you have your real son.
You're my real son.
Well, that's beautiful and horrible at the same time. She really does have a way with words. Mrs. Skinner then pulls rank and orders Armin into the car, to which he agrees. Well, he can't ignore his mother, now can he? Back in Springfield, Mayor Quimby tells everyone that Tamzarian is a no-good punk, but Homer makes the point that nobody really cares anymore and that to them, he will always be Principal Skinner. The problem is the real Seymour is right there, but I'm sure they'll come up with a sensible way to solve things, right?
And let Sergeant Skinner keep his dignity.
But I'm a hero!
And we salute you for it. Now don't come back.
I'm sorry, Seymour. It's nice you're alive, but you're just not what I'm looking for in a son. I'm glad you understand.
The last thing to clean up is, the fact that he isn't Seymour Skinner. But Judge Snyder declares that the past, present, and future Skinner now belongs to Armin, including his name and mother. Also, nobody's allowed to mention it again under threat of torture. Wait, nobody told me that before talking about this episode. This wasn't the only time that The Simpsons went wild and loose when it came to backstories, with nobody safe from a retcon, including Marge and Homer. One of the cheapest plots used to set up a couple throwaway gags was seen in season 19 when the writers decided to tarnish the relationship of Springfield's most loved-up couple.
Kiss. Would you construe that as harassment or give your willing consent?
Consent, of course.
Continuing in that line of thought. May I kiss your mouth with my mouth?
Just do it already.
So when Homer said he'd never let her go after getting together in the way we was just a huge stinking lie. In that 90s show, the Simpsons are struggling to stay warm during a harsh winter after Homer failed to pay the heating bill, of course. The family is forced to burn things in the fire, but that's when Bart comes across Marge's old memory box. After it's revealed that Marge went to college after high school, the Simpsons' parents finally tell their kids about a part of their past they kept secret.
High school. Yeah, what happened while I was chilling in Dad's junk?
There is a part of our past that we haven't told you kids about.
Come on, more turbulent than now?
We're in every kind of therapy.
As the most shameless man in Springfield, it must be serious if Homer thinks it's bad. But to find out what the dirty little secret is, we need to go back to the 90s when Homer and Marge move into their first apartment together at Springfield Place. While they don't really have much money, they have each other. And ramen. I mean, what else do you really need at that point? Marge is keen on getting married, as well as Homer, as he just wants to skip to the consummation. But that's when something happens that turns their plans upside down.
Just like Kevin Costner's career, because of the postman.
You applied to college? Why didn't you tell me?
I did tell you.
I thought you were telling me you wanted to apply yourself to making a collage.
Marge's excitement soon fizzles away after she reads about how much it'll cost, but like any good partner, Homer steps up to the plate and goes to work at Abe's laser tag place. Eventually, he gets enough money to help Marge go to college, and before long, she's sitting in a dusty lecture room listening to Stuck-Up Know-It-All. Living the dream. It isn't long before the plucky student catches the eye of Professor August.
Is he some gray-haired old bookworm?
Not exactly.
Marge, I hope I'll be seeing you tomorrow during office hours.
3 to 5, right?
Out of here, dude. Nobody wants to see your parted beads. Marge continues to crush on the professor, and she even starts imagining August's face on Homer's body while rubbing cream into his laser burns. That's just weird. Eventually, the two begin to grow distant as Marge is conflicted about her feelings, and the slimeball professor isn't helping things any.
It's perfect for me. Just look at this note. I miss you. Aww.
Actually, Marge, if I may deconstruct that letter, when he writes, I miss you, I is the subject, and you is the object. You are his object.
But Homer's so supportive. He's paying for me to go to college.
Doesn't he realize that without Homer paying for her college, Marge wouldn't be there for him to creep on? To further muddy the waters between Homer and Marge, August tells her that the next assignment is to think about her relationship and work out if it's really what she wants. How thoughtful. Meanwhile, Homer comes to find his girlfriend at the campus and catches her sitting cozily with her professor. Like any young guy in the 90s, he uses his sadness to start a grunge band. Yeah, I think they rewrote the couple's history and made Marge turn on her morals just so Homer can go through a Nirvana phase.
Pain is brown.
Okay. Marge confronts Homer about how his music sounds angry and bitter, and he tells her that it's because he's paying for her to flirt with the professor, essentially, and he's got a point. Marge decides to break up with Homer so she can spend more time with August. In fact, they get really close.
Consent, of course.
Continuing in that line of thought. May I kiss your mouth?
Marge kissing anybody but Homer is just plain wrong, especially a guy with elbow patches. Meanwhile, Homer has somehow risen to the heights of fame, and hordes of fans stand outside his huge house. But sadly, all he wants to do is be with Marge, who's still smitten with her new boyfriend. In fact, the two go on a romantic trip to the beach and spot a wedding going on. Marge thinks it looks beautiful, but the guy who sees the negative in everything says this.
No, Marge. Everything shaped is bad.
Look, a wedding. You oppose marriage?
Marge, marriage has oppressed women for centuries.
But Stefan, I would like to get married someday.
Oh, Marge, it's statements like that that make people say women are stupid.
Good comeback, Marge. You could have at least called him a poo-poo head or something. Marge soon comes to her senses and realizes that Professor August is just a huge self-centered jerk. She rushes back to campus and watches Homer on the TV singing about how Marge basically betrayed him, but still loves her anyway.
Margarine.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. The music video is cut short with a breaking news story about Homer breaking up his grunge band and locking himself in his house all day. When Marge learns that there's rumors about him taking narcotics, she rushes to try and save him, and things get pretty dark.
Oh my God, you're a junkie!
I need it.
Well, that escalated quickly. But don't worry, they were actually insulin needles, as he had drunk too many frappuccinos and became diabetic. I think he needs to spend some time at Starbucks Anonymous. Marge helps Homer recover, and she begs him to take her back. Thankfully for her, he doesn't hold a grudge, and they finally end up together.
Never be a worse president. Never.
Never. With the 90s drawing to a close and the Sydney Olympics to look forward to, our love rekindled. And one moonlit night, I finally had fun at a mini golf course.
Talk about a hole-in-one. Sorry, I couldn't resist. With Homer now happy, he gives up the fame and fortune to live a humble family life. And no one ever recognized him as the famous rock star ever again, I guess. Over the years, pretty much every member of the Simpsons clan has had a music phase, including Lisa, which brought one of the most universally hated episodes of the show. By 2012, most of the original team was already gone or had stepped back, including Matt Groening and Sam Simon. The Simpsons began to lose its satirical edge, playing it safe to avoid anything that might get them into trouble. In fact, it began to mirror the type of pop culture it once poked fun at.
Monsters don't need implants or a bitchin' monster car. Monsters only need to love the monsters that they are.
Does this mean we have to love this monstrosity of an episode, though? In Lisa Goes Gaga, Lady Gaga's glitter train pulls into Springfield on a mission to cheer them up with a performance. I think it's going to take more than a few songs to put a smile on some faces. Can you imagine Bad Romance fixing all of Moe's problems?
I just can't ignore a billboard in pain. We're stopping in Springfield.
But-
No buts.
Wow, those shoes look like they need planning permission. Meanwhile, Springfield Elementary is having an awards evening with Bart winning the award for being the king of pranks. Good to see Bart excelling in something at school. Unfortunately for Lisa, she wins the award for the least popular student.
Thank you for noticing me. She actually accepted it.
Ah, that's rough. Something tells me that's not going to go on the mantelpiece. Lisa's obviously devastated, but that's until Milhouse points out that a user on the school forum called Truth Teller is actually sticking up for her, writing hundreds of nice things. The next day at school, everyone is being nice to her, obviously sold on the opinion of the mystery poster. Her luck seems to be changing, until...
Mine! This notebook is full of things Truth Teller said.
Give that back.
This one says post next Friday. Oh my God, you're Truth Teller!
Yep, poor Lisa resorted to writing nice things about herself because nobody else would. That's like someone writing themselves a Valentine's Day card. Obviously, I wouldn't stoop that low, personally. This revelation makes Lisa's situation even worse as she runs off crying while the kids taunt her. Meanwhile, Lady Gaga is taking a break from practicing her show, but that's when she gets a premonition that Lisa needs her help and rushes to Springfield. With the crowd waiting on the platform, Gaga is keen to get the show started. Oh, be careful where you swing those things. You can take an eye out. After the show, Gaga notices that Lisa is the girl from her premonition, and the two of them go to the Simpson house to talk about her problems. I hope she's cleared her schedule for the next couple of days. Lisa shows her new friend all the mean things her classmates have posted about her on the forum, and trying to cheer her up, Gaga gives her this advice.
Lisa, look at me. So what if your #1 supporter is you? That's how it should be. I had some very tough times myself before I became a superstar at age 22. Everything is gonna be fine.
Sure, make it all about you. I'm sure that's just what she needs right now. Lisa just wants to be alone, but Gaga isn't giving up on her, telling her that she won't leave until she gets her hope back. Maybe she should clear her schedule for the next year, actually. Gaga talks with Marge, hoping to find a way to help Lisa, but it only upsets her knowing she can't make her feel better. Luckily, Gaga knows exactly what to do.
I'm afraid hand-holding isn't going to cheer me up.
Well, maybe this will.
Homer!
Wow.
Oh, at least she's able to make two of the Simpson clan happy. The next day at school, Lisa has completely given in to her depression and isn't even bothered that the other kids are playing Lisa roulette while she sits on the merry-go-round. Hey, at least they're letting her play, kinda. This is when Lady Gaga tries to cheer her up, but Lisa throws it back in her face.
Well, I denounce thee.
What?
I denounce thee for giving people ambitions they cannot fulfill. And I denounce thee for positing a world where social acceptance and walking on heels are easy.
Please, may we kill the kid?
I mean, I personally would class what Lady Gaga wears as stilts, but that's just me. After hearing Lisa's tirade of insults, the star runs off crying. Now it's up to Homer to try and end his daughter's pity party. While he gives her some really bad advice, like telling her not to get caught when cheating at something, Lisa manages to tune him out and realize how ungrateful that she's really been. You can say that again. You just made Lady Gaga as bummed out as you. Lisa manages to hop onto the glitter train and tell Gaga that she helped her take stock of her life, leading to this cringeworthy moment. Somebody please make it stop. Taking the stage and singing, albeit off key, all the kids in Springfield change their minds about Lisa and realize maybe she's not so bad after all. I guess the saying, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, is true when it comes to The Simpsons, as their defiance against conforming to cultural expectations in mainstream media was sacrificed so they could survive. This has led to several collabs with popular family-friendly franchises to bring in younger audiences and stay relevant. One such collab, which in Homer's own words was not selling out but co-branding, zaps the residents of Springfield into a Lego reality.
Oh, honey, the best part of every day is waking up to your smiling face.
Don't lose that little hand, Homer. They're a nightmare to find again. Brick Like Me begins with Homer waking up at a world built full of Lego, and after wrestling Marge's hand out of Santa's little helper's mouth, the family settles down for a nice plastic breakfast. Looks like someone's treated themselves at the supermarket Lego kit. And I mean, hey, as Lego people go, they look pretty spot on. Well, except for Maggie, that is.
Oh, they're so cute when they're Duplo.
Having a giant baby would be terrifying. Imagine the diapers. Homer heads to the toy shop to buy Lisa a birthday present, but accidentally drives into Krusty. Luckily for him, Lego pieces don't feel pain and can literally just put themselves back together. I'm guessing Dr. Hibbert's out of a job. Meanwhile, at Springfield Elementary, Milhouse brings his skunk in for a show and tell, but the stinky little critter escapes. While trying to find it, Bart, Milhouse, and Willie accidentally remove too many bricks, and the whole school comes crashing down. As there's no chalkboard for Bart to write lines on, Skinner gives him this punishment instead.
We're going to rebuild every brick of this school. Age guidelines are conservative, and everyone knows it.
Trusting Bart to build the school? Really? There'll be more booby traps in the opening of Indiana Jones. At the toy store, Homer asks the comic book guy for a Perky Patty's Princess shop, but seeing it gives him a flashback of his normal reality. He remembers building the kit with Lisa and actually enjoying her company. Yep, Lego is some magical stuff, alright. But of course, this was just a good old-fashioned product plug.
Parents play with their kids? They don't like it. But this is tolerable.
That's right, parents. Buy lots of Lego and you'll enjoy the company of your kids. Homer soon shoots back to Lego Springfield and tells Marge all about his weird experience. Marge tries to put his mind at ease by telling him it was probably just a mini stroke. Aww, she knows exactly what to say. She goes on to tell him the Lego world is the only reality and tries to take his mind off it by bumping bricks, if you catch my drift. But unfortunately, he just can't shake these weird visions.
Oh, Brick me! Why don't you go back where you came from?
I have as much right to be here as you.
Homer's definitely getting the out-of-date hot dogs next time he goes in. He rushes to the only place he thinks it'll cure his craziness, Moe's. But after his beer turns to liquid and the guys at the bar turn into fleshy people, he thinks he's completely lost his marbles. Meanwhile, Bart is already bored of rebuilding the school, taking a more creative approach. Sure, Terminators are cool, but they'll soon get bored of hearing, "I'll be Brick." Dang it, I think the jokes in this episode are rubbing off on me. Homer soon realizes that he's not going crazy at all, as his hands turn into fleshy ones and everyone sees it. He rushes back to the comic book store so he can touch the Perky Patty set again and travel back to the other dimension.
Hey, look what I found in the Arts Weekend obituary section of the...
We gotta enter our mini Springfield. We're a great team!
Wait, if the human people have Lego bricks, does that mean the Lego people have human body parts in their toy boxes? Oh, this should have been a Treehouse of Horror episode. Homer is excited about the competition, but Lisa makes plans to watch a movie with her new older friends. Homer is upset that his little girl has chosen to ditch him, but decides to take their Lego version to Springfield to the competition anyway, finally revealing the reason for the strange Lego world.
Little Springfield. Everything fits together and no one ever gets hurt.
The real Homer fears losing his daughter's love. Nothing will ever change.
Well, it's a good job he wasn't hit on the head with a Mackinac sculpture. Everyone to be robots. Wait a minute, that sounds awesome. Homer realizes that he can literally just live in his fantasy world and hang out with Lisa all the time. Man, he must have really banged his head hard. He thinks he's living in paradise, but realizes that in a world that never ages, he will never truly get to see his kids grow up.
Marge, I made a terrible mistake. Grow up is what makes time with them special.
I wish you'd told me that before I bought all these groceries.
Don't worry, Marge. The beauty of Lego food is that it never goes bad. It's a little chewy, though. Homer heads back to the comic book guy so he can go home, but it turns out he's actually the part of Homer's mind that wants to stay in Lego World. In an attempt to keep this reality going, he sends a horde of classic Lego minifigures after him, including pirates and ninjas. While it looks like Homer's about to leave in a box, and I don't mean the one with the manual, Bart shows up to save him.
This is strangely exhilarating.
No!
Sure, Bart's robot is cool, but good luck putting all those pieces back in the right boxes. With the Perky Patty set back in his hands, Homer returns to the real world and wakes up from his crazy dream. Lisa is there to see if he's okay, and her dad encourages her to go to the movies as he doesn't want to stop her from growing up. And while this episode isn't terrible, I'd say it's a far cry from the type of humor and plot style fans loved in the earlier seasons. It's sad to think about how The Simpsons used to be compared to how it is now, but let's face it, the format couldn't stay the same forever. In the golden era, the show was super 90s, reflecting the politics and culture of the time. But since then, society has moved on, and sensitive subjects are approached way differently. If you dare approach a sensitive subject at all. The Simpsons wouldn't have survived if they didn't adapt. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'll leave that up to you. And that's all I got for you today. Let me know your thoughts about how The Simpsons has changed over the years, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!